Alright, today I wanted to make a more in-depth video about two teams in La Liga that have just faltered or not been doing their best. One of the teams is Sevilla, who I can at least say that in my time watching them, it's been one of the worst years that they've ever had. They're sitting 19th in La Liga table, and they have only 2 wins to their name. It is kind of crazy because of the amount of... I feel like they have good depth. They're a squad that has good depth. And it's kind of crazy to me because they've been playing around with those Europe spots ever since I remember, being either in the top four or just around the top four. So for them to be sitting that low on the table is just astonishing. However, there is some part to blame for what happened. Last year they sold some of their players, such as Koundé or even Diego Carlos, and they just were not able to replace them with quality because those two players were essential to that team, and they didn't replace them at all. They looked for Nianzou, I think, from Bayern Munich, but not that experienced again, and I think they would have needed top quality players, but at the same time, it's kind of not of their fault because yes, while Koundé and Diego Carlos were quality players, if they didn't renew them, which would have seemed unlikely because big teams would have gone for them, they would have gone on the free. So I think they just should have done better with that money that they acquired for them. So today, I guess I have two players that I have picked that could help salvage their season because they are sitting really low and there is a lot of issues with them. They have a lot of injuries. They did get rid of Lopetegui because he was not doing good, but Sampaoli's not doing that very good either. So it's just a hit or miss. So one of the departments which they lack on right now is goals. Dolberg just got sold. He's not even in the squad, or he has not been that player that they expected him to be. And Nesiri is the one who's doing the best right now. But it's just crazy how some of these players who are quality players are not being able to put it in the back of the net. One of the players that I picked out for them is called Fran Navarro. And he actually plays for Gil Vicente over in the Portuguese league. And honestly, he's young, 24 years old. He's an attacker. He just plays up there and maybe could give something different to them as he is doing really good where they're at. He has 14 appearances, 8 goals, and 2 assists. And that just seems like somebody who can score, which for them, I think that is what they need, somebody who can score. And I think he's just going to provide something different for that team. The other player that I was looking at as well is Adama Traore, who again hasn't really featured in the Wolves team. I do know Lopetegui said that he would like to keep him. However, if the plans change or if Adama just wants something different, I feel like Sevilla would have no trouble in going for him, as Adama Traore is just pacey and he's always going to cause trouble. And he's also just, I don't know if flary, but obviously he can beat a man or two, and that pace just comes in handy. They really haven't had anybody that's been that creative in terms of assists. Tecatito is injured. That is a big one. And then Montiel as well is out for a little bit. So I think Adama Traore would be a no-risk factor in that team, as he can just as well link up with Gil Vicente or El Nesiri, because when watching Wolves or him play, I know that Adama just runs down that wing and tries to provide that assist, and I think that is what they need. They're lacking in that department as well as in the finishing department, so those two players would be really solid for their back line and hopefully can just help salvage their season, because if they are to go down, their team is probably going to get rated from a lot of different players, because I think a lot of different clubs can probably get something different out of these players. So those are my thoughts on Sevilla. The next one that we're gonna talk about is Atletico Madrid, who, as I'm seeing, they're not doing as bad as I thought because they are still in the top four, but they are not challenging for the league at the moment. And if some of the things that they have don't get fixed, I don't think they are going to challenge for the league because it is weird. Because I had this conversation with some of my friends. Is Diego Simeone the problem? Is that type of football the problem? And I want to say no, but also yes, because teams might be reacting differently now that they know that style, and that is why they're kind of taking advantage of this Atletico Madrid side, because they are getting used to that. Oh, let's see, the backline fast counters. So it's kind of weird, but Diego Simeone has done this before. He won La Liga 2 years ago. It's no surprise. But I don't know, it just seems so underwhelming, their performance. And it's weird because some of the players that they do have aren't performing, or even as the back line or even the midfield. It's just not coming into par. Oblak, I know he's a very good goalkeeper, one of the best in the world, so I don't think the goalkeeper is the problem. The defenders, however, I think are where it gets weird. Maybe they just need a refresh in the defender department, but it's weird because I know some of their players are maybe looked at and that they need to leave as well. That's another one of the problems that I don't know what really happened, but it just happened like really fast where a lot of their players were wanting to leave and a lot of players are going to leave. So because of some of them fell out with the manager. So I'm not really sure what's going on because I know Mateus Cunha was one of the ones that left, who I thought was really good, but hopefully somebody in Wolves can get the potential out of him. And also Joao Felix, who I never really understood why he went to Atletico Madrid. Why? He was such a talent, and I thought he could have been at least somewhat close or just below par what Mbappe was. Because he was very good back in the Portuguese team that he played, and that's what I thought. So I don't really know what happened in that aspect. But aside from that, there's other players that want to leave. Felipe, one of the players that they are wanting to get rid of. I know Hermoso is getting looked at as well. Some of the players that they do have, Reylindo, Jimenez, who's just reliable, they're pretty good, but they just need to reshape and relook at some of those options. Some of the players that are performing, which just can be said a lot about, are Morata. Morata has been that clutch factor. He has been able to put some of the goals away that he needs. And another one that I also think is just outperforming is Griezmann. Griezmann is doing very well. And it's just kind of crazy to me that it's still not working. It's still not totally working for them. So I don't know. I picked out some players, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to be able to salvage their season because I think they just need a refresh. One of the players that I picked out for them is Soyuncu, who I do know that they're interested in. I do know that they want him. I do know that he hasn't played for Leicester. And hopefully Simeone, if there's somebody that can get a defense out of a man, I think it's Simeone. So Yunchu would be a good addition to the back line as he can be able to give that refresh. And if Felipe is to leave, then that starting lineup is going to need a player. And so Yunchu can probably be that. And he can just improve and go back to what he was in Leicester. Because a lot of people had him in their top 10 center backs in the Premier League. So hopefully he can go back to that and just salvage what there is. Hopefully just stay in that top four for them. Get third maybe. Because I don't see Real Madrid or Barcelona slowing down. The other player that I think they need is called Marcos Paulo, who is just a talented young Brazilian winger. Portuguese. And he is just, again, young, talented. He can probably get something out of him. And he's going to be energetic. He's going to be exciting. He's just one of those players that, for the future, which I think is what they need. Because again, if João Felix is to leave, and I just saw that Carrasco rejected a renewal, then they're going to need somebody up top. And I think they need to give chances to some of the younger players to go up into it and just thrive, hopefully. So the one that I picked was him. He is right now playing in Brazil, in the Brazilian league, Sao Paulo. So hopefully he can just be something exciting to watch. And again, just give this team something different, because I think that is what they need. Whether it is a new manager, I am not sure, because I don't watch them like that week in, week out. I just know I keep up with them because I watch La Liga. But as far as things go, I think that is my opinion on what they could do to salvage their season.